The First Arab-Israeli War, 1947-1949. Following Israel's declaration of statehood, the Arab armies attacked all along the borders of the Jewish state. Egyptian forces attacked from the south, along the coast, reaching the outskirts of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Syrian, Lebanese and Iraqi forces attacked from the north and northeast. The Jordanian Arab Legion crossed the Jordan River and by the 28th of May 1948 had occupied East Jerusalem and what we now call the West Bank. The situation looked perilous for the new state. After initial setbacks, the Israelis, with the help of newly arrived immigrants, succeeded in driving the Arab armies out of the north. They regained the Negev, but not the Gaza Strip, from the Egyptians and secured a corridor between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Israeli troops were, however, unable to gain control of East Jerusalem. The United Nations secured a truce in early January 1949, and by July 1949, Israel and the neighbouring Arab states had signed separate armistice agreements. The armistice agreements, based on UN Resolutions 181 and 194, left many issues unresolved. However, Israeli soldiers had succeeded in occupying 20% more of Palestine than the United Nations had agreed on, but Israel refused to return to the borders laid out in the United Nations petition resolution and would not permit Palestinian refugees to return to their homes. For their part, the Arab states and the Palestinians refused diplomatic recognition to Israel and would not acknowledge the Jewish state's right to exist. More than 150,000 Palestinian Arabs remained resident in Israel, while around 725,000 became refugees. So how had Israel won a war that seemed so weighted against it? A close look at the conduct of the war and the forces engaged suggests a complicated explanation. In May 1948, the total number of Arab troops in the field was under 25,000, while the total number of Israeli forces was over 35,000. By mid-July, the number of Israeli troops was closer to 65,000, and by December it had reached 95,000. Arab forces were nowhere near this number, around 55,000 in October. The Israelis had few heavy weapons, no artillery, armoured vehicles or planes, but they did have a unified command and at a crucial stage in the war received a large shipment of weapons from Czechoslovakia. On the other hand, the Arab forces had no unified command or agreed upon goals. Traditional rivalries prevented a coordinated campaign. Although they possessed armoured vehicles, they did not use them effectively, largely because of long lines of supply. The distance from Baghdad to Haifa is 1,100 kilometres, and the Egyptians had a 400-kilometre supply line across the desert. The members of the British-trained Jordanian Arab Legion were the most effective fighters on the Arab side.